In the middle of the Sahara lies one of the most mysterious structures on the planet, which looks as if someone had drawn a target in the desert. From space, it looks as if a giant eye is staring back. The Richat Structure, also known as the Eye of the Sahara, is believed by some to be the remains of the legendary Atlantis. Scientists have been puzzling over its origin for decades.
And now there are finally new findings. We're going to take a close look at this with spectacular satellite images, so make sure to stick around until the end. A warm welcome, everyone.
The Richat Structure is truly a fascinating geological phenomenon, and there are few geological structures about which there are so many different hypotheses.
Go ahead and write your first thought when you see this in the comments. How did it come about? Geologically? Artificially? I'm curious to hear your wildest ideas, and if topics like this excite you as much as they do me, then go ahead and subscribe to the channel. Subscribing is absolutely free. You'll never miss another video, and you'll be helping me out a lot. If you've already subscribed, giving the video a thumbs up really helps. 5,000 likes is the magic threshold for the algorithm. Thanks again.
Imagine you are an astronaut on the International Space Station looking down at Earth. Suddenly, in the middle of the golden expanse of the Sahara, you see a perfect circular structure with several concentric rings, almost like a cosmic eye staring back. This is the Richat Structure in Mauritania, and it is gigantic. Measuring about 50 kilometers in diameter, this gigantic formation has actually been a familiar landmark for astronauts since the earliest manned space missions. But when viewed from the ground, its full splendor is hardly recognizable. Sand dunes, shimmering heat, and uneven terrain conceal its actual shape. Only from space does the complete structure reveal itself in all its beauty. And it was precisely this perfectly circular shape that puzzled scientists for decades. What on earth is this structure all about? There are many hypotheses circulating on the internet, ranging from the remains of the legendary Atlantis to a structure that only extraterrestrial forces could have created. The most obvious explanation seems to be a meteorite impact. I mean, look at it. So perfectly round, so precisely structured, it must have been a gigantic cosmic impact, right? A meteorite that struck here millions of years ago and left a huge crater. This theory persisted, and to be honest, I can understand why. If I were looking down from the ISS and saw these perfect circles, the first thing I would think of would be an impact crater too.
But there are new findings, and they tell a completely different story. During new on-site investigations, the scientists found no evidence whatsoever of a meteorite impact. No shocked quartz, no melted rock, none of the telltale traces that a high-energy impact would have left behind. Instead, they discovered something much more subtle and in many ways even more impressive: a deeply eroded geological dome. A dome? That might immediately make you think of an underground vault belonging to a secret civilization. Perhaps the capital city of the lizard people.
I think emotionally, I've always been a lizard, you know? And now I feel comfortable, finally, in my leathery, scaly skin.
But what does that really mean? About 100 million years ago, a gigantic bubble of molten rock pushed its way up from below. Imagine it as a giant geological pimple on the Earth's crust. This magma bubble gently lifted the sedimentary layers above it, forming a dome structure. The magma itself never reached the surface, but it bulged the rock layers above it, and then the real magic began. Wind, water, and sand, the three masters of desert erosion, went to work. Over millions of years, nature ground down this dome. The softer rock layers were eroded more quickly than the harder ones. The harder rocks, such as quartz-rich sandstone, resisted erosion and remained standing as high ridges. The softer layers in between were washed away to form valleys. The result is a natural cross-section of the Earth's crust, peeled back layer by layer in concentric rings.
The outer rings are mainly composed of erosion-resistant rock, while the inner part exposes older layers that once lay deep beneath the surface.
The parts of this structure are therefore 100 million years old. The European Space Agency recently captured spectacular new images of the Richat Structure with the Copernicus Sentinel-2 satellite mission. These images reveal details that were not previously visible. In the false color images, scientists combined different wavelengths of light to highlight different materials and surface features. In these images, the harder, quartz-rich sandstones appear in shades of red and pink, tracing the outer rings and inner ridges. Darker areas between these rings mark zones of softer softer, more eroded rock. And here's a detail that I personally find particularly exciting. Tiny purple spots in the southern part of the structure reveal individual trees and bushes following a dry riverbed. The dark area surrounding the structure is part of the Adra Plateau of sedimentary rocks, which rises about 200 meters above the surrounding desert sand. This sand, in turn, is part of the Erg Oaran, an immense expanse of sand that stretches hundreds of kilometers to Mali. Sand is also clearly visible encroaching on the south side of the structure, with the desert slowly but surely reclaiming everything.
Okay, so all of this is super exciting, but now some of you are probably nervously asking, what about the Atlantis hypothesis? Yes, some people actually claim that the Richat structure is the remains of the sunken city of Atlantis. Some people also claim that you should put pineapple on pizza. So in that sense,
according to the argument, the structure fits perfectly with Plato's description of Atlantis as a central island surrounded by three alternating rings of land and water. And indeed, when you look at the Richat structure, it has a central land area surrounded by three large ridges with depressions in between. The hypothesis is that this area was once at sea level and the depressions were filled with water. As evidence, they cite satellite images that allegedly show significant amounts of salt in the rings of the structure. This would prove that salt water once filled these rings. In addition, the surrounding sand is said to show traces of a massive tsunami that would have devastated any settlement just as in Atlantis.
Sounds really exciting, but there's probably nothing to it.
Firstly, the Richat structure is hundreds of kilometers away from the nearest ocean, and there is no geological evidence that this area was at sea level in historical times. Secondly, the rock layers there are proven to be up to 100 million years old and of completely natural origin. There are no traces of human construction, such as wall remains, ceramics, or tools. The salt in the rings can be explained much more easily in geological terms. These are mineral deposits from evaporated groundwater, which are completely normal in arid regions. The alleged tsunami traces also do not stand up to expert scrutiny. The sand deposits are consistent with wind transport and desert erosion, not with marine flood events.
And besides, Plato doesn't describe Atlantis as a Stone Age ruin in the middle of the desert, but as a highly advanced Bronze Age civilization in the Mediterranean region. In short, the similarity is purely geometric, and geometry alone does not make a lost high culture. Yeah, I know, I'm a party pooper. Sorry folks. But the true story of the Richat structure is actually much more fascinating than any Atlantis theory.
Here we have a natural cross-section of the Earth's crust, polished millions of times by wind and sand, revealing the geological history of our planet. From the orbit of the ISS, this geological porthole looks back at us, a gigantic eye etched into the Sahara, silently recording the deep history of the Earth written in stone.
I will continue to keep you updated on all new findings in the future. So remember to subscribe to the channel now and leave a thumbs up so we can hit 5,000 likes. And since we're already talking about spectacular scientific discoveries,
recently, researchers succeeded in conducting an absolutely groundbreaking experiment in quantum physics. After 100 years, Albert Einstein was proven wrong in one of his central predictions. That's right, Einstein was wrong. I explain exactly what happened and what this means for our understanding of physics in the video shown above on the right. Feel free to take a look, it's very exciting. As always, there's another video about science and space at the bottom right. Otherwise, I'd say see you in the next video. Take care, everyone.